8:38, good morning. Coming up on 8:39 on this Wednesday. In studio, we have Mr. Rich. Have I ever said Mr. Richard Sherman before?
Very few people do, but it's fine with me.
I don't know if I've ever put the Mr. on there. Richard Sherman from Radius in the house.
Yay, always a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
What's going on today?
Well, actually today, rather, because now that it's hitting the news, everyone knows what I was talking about the last couple of months is now coming to pass, so don't need to belabor that point. So I did want to talk about some of the solutions we've been able to reach for a couple of clients lately, because you can work these things out. You just have to know to do it. So here's the story. So thank you to KHTS and to you, Tori, because a client called me because she'd heard me on the air. And she said, I think I have one of those zombie second things you were talking about. Yeah. And I said, well, okay, tell me what's going on. Anyway, to make a very long story short, they took out a loan in 2006, bought a house. Mm-hmm. They got a first loan and a second loan. It's 100% financing. It was very popular at the time. 2016, they did a loan modification. And they modified their first, also very common. What they didn't know, like a lot of people don't know, is that their second is a standalone product. Just because you had the same bank when you took it out does not necessarily mean when you got a loan modification to fix everything that was taken into account. So what happened is they had a second that they didn't know about.
Wait, okay, but if it's in the same bank, why couldn't the person at the bank say, hey, listen, by the way, as I pull up your information, I see that you have...
Not their gig.
Okay.
Not their gig. Just because they work for, hypothetically, Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
Not saying that's where this one was, but it was. Anyway, if they work for Wells Fargo and you're doing a loan modification, their job is to look at your first, get you a loan mod. Because as far as they're concerned, that's what you asked for. You didn't talk to them about the second, so why would they touch the second?
Ouch.
Just because it's a really good idea and it's moral and ethical.
Yeah,
and it's what
nice.
You should do because you work for a bank. But, it's not like everybody who works at a bank is evil or anything. It's just when they get together in a group in a building that says bank on the top, they behave badly. That's just what it is. I know some very lovely people outside of the bank are lovely, and inside the bank, they're just not as nice. And that has to do with their job. Bank's job is to maximize profit for their shareholders. That's what they do. That's all they do, and that's all they care about. And if a bank has to burn down an orphanage to make an extra 2 cents, they'll do it. And if you yell at them about it and you say that's wrong, what you're doing is morally, reprehensible, they'll give you my favorite defense of all. Well, if I didn't do it, the next guy just would. And I think I was only following orders as a defense to immoral behavior. Incorrect behavior, in my view, was already pretty well settled somewhere around 1945. It's not that I'm calling them Nazis. That's just the way they behave sometimes. Anyway, so back to this couple. So they bought a house. They had a zombie second. We identified it. It was originally $90,000 at 7.92% interest, and it had been unpaid for a decade. So now it was $300,000. So they thought they were going to sell their house and have equity in it. What they discovered is they, in fact, are underwater, despite housing prices going up 20% in the last 12 to 18 months. So they flipped out, as you might imagine, and she got online and started Googling, things and found me pretty quickly through KHTS. So again, thank you. And she called me up, and I said, no, I can do that. And I love when clients do this, because I said, well, we can't get rid of the debt. You're going to have to deal with it, because it's there, and unless we can disavow it, and I probably can't, we'll look through the note, see if there are any holes that we can fill, we can get rid of it. But it's probably a good note, because I know who generated it, when it was generated, I know the banks, how they were operating at the time, et cetera. So we're probably in good shape, and we were, as far as they're concerned. Bad shape for us, good shape for the bank. But anyway, what we're able to do is we're able to go to the bank that currently holds the note, which is not Wells Fargo. They sold it off, and somebody else sold it off, and somebody else sold it off over the years. And they said, give us our $330,000. And we said, no. And they said, well, okay, here's what we'll do. We'll cut the debt down. And there's a lot of arguing back and forth, because a lot of what they applied to should not have happened. They just kind of rolled up the debt automatically. You can't just do that. You have to have a note that allows for that. So we knocked it down to about 200 and something. Then they were willing to settle for like 130 something. And anyway, to make a very long story short, as of last week, I got them to settle for $17,000 and change, which still sucks because they'd rather have them pay absolutely nothing. But $17,363, if memory serves, beats the hell out of over $300,000, and it beats the heck out of all the other numbers we got out of them. And we did all of that in about 30 to 45 days. It was pretty quick on this one. So the reason I tell that story is because these guys came in with being underwater, couldn't sell their house, had a massive debt on their property, and now we're not even 6 weeks later, and we do this for free. We're not even 6 weeks later, and now they all have to do is pay off a $17,000 debt, and they're done. They're ready to sell their house and make about $200,000 in equity. That would have been gone otherwise. And the difference in that is because they looked online, they found the station, they saw some of our videos and articles and stuff that we've done, and they contacted me. So these people will now be about $200,000 richer simply because they made that phone call. I am constantly baffled since we do this for free why people don't call. Because it's not, I mean, I have a skill set. I'm pretty good at this. I've been doing it every day for a very long time. So even though I was bad at this, I'm good at it now.
You're nothing short of a miracle worker. And here's the thing. I think and I'm going to be totally honest with you.
Please.
When we constantly say this service is free,
Yeah.
we have grown, since we were kids, nothing's for free. There's always a
true that.
catch. If when you hear the word free, sometimes it scares you.
Yeah.
Because you don't. Then what's happening? But the other shoe's going to drop, right?
And again, thank you to KHTS, because I always get people who go, okay, yeah, it's free. I love it when like a wife calls me and then the whole family comes in to meet with me, and the husband comes in, and it's usually on a Sunday, and the guy's usually working hard already, and he does not want to spend 1 minute in my office dealing with some realtor. It's the last thing he needs, especially some guy who says he's going to bail him out of all his problems for free. And they love, and they come in with their arms crossed, all real kind of angry and standoffish. I don't mind that at all. I never mind somebody saying, "Hey, prove it." That doesn't bother me at all. And aside from the other stuff that I have, I just Google. I don't even give them a resume anymore. I have a very unique last name. It's the only SZ you're going to find around. Just Google it.
Right.
Just Google, my last name, SZERMAN, and real estate or foreclosure defense or anything like that, and you'll get story after story over the many years. A lot of it through KHTS, because you guys make great videos and they're easy to find. So thank you. And they're short, which is also good because I'm not good at being short, as you know. So thank you for that as well. But and other stuff, and they see this stuff and they go, oh, okay, well, there's 30 years of evidence here that this guy does this.
Right.
If this was some sort of scam, I think it would have been brought out. At least I hope it would have been found out by now.
Exactly.
And I also encourage any client, anyone who calls me, if you want to talk to a current client I'm working with, if you want to talk to a client from 2 years ago, 10, whatever you want, I'm happy to give it to you. A friend of mine used to say all the time, and I adopted this as a business ethos many, many years ago. When you do what you say and you say what you do, you don't run from scrutiny. In fact, you welcome it. So I love it when people come in very standoffish thinking, well, this is a scam and I'm going to sniff. Go ahead. There is nothing we do that isn't totally transparent. If you want to know my home address, I'll give it to you. I give out my home address over the air. Not my home address, my home, although you can have that too. I give out my personal cell phone number over the air all the time. So there's no...
Right.
There's no there as far as this is legitimately we are trying to help you out. And the reason for that is I really don't like the way the banking system behaves in this country. I don't like the way it was designed, and I don't like really that the banks are the ones who write the rules that everyone else is governed by. It's a problem. It really is a problem. The good news is you can make that work for you if you know the rules, and most people just don't.
Well, we don't. Why would we? Why would
Well, yeah,
we?
exactly. I mean, unless you've been doing this.
We were brought up, Richard, listen, we were brought up to trust these businesses, to trust the bank, to trust to trust. And now we have to relearn that, what's going on.
Banks are just people too. I mean, and greed is greed. And when you consider that the entire institution exists not to help you buy a home or not to help you manage your finances or a credit card or your savings, they exist to make money for their shareholders. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Just that's what it is.
And
you don't blame a shark for swimming. That's what they do.
When you prove these clients wrong, they come in with their arms folded. At what point do they let their guard down and they go, okay, got it.
That's when it gets hysterical, because then it goes completely the other way. Rich, you're the greatest guy ever. I assure you I am not. If you would like, my wife will be more than happy to explain to you the many, many deficiencies in my personality and behaviors. But no, it's great. It's fun. I mean, it's always nice to have people say nice things about you, but I'm neither of those extremes. I'm just somebody who knows what he's doing and is happy to do it for free because, frankly, I really enjoy it. I've had and still do have a very lucrative real estate career. I did very well very early. I invested well. I am by no means wealthy, but I can certainly afford to do this for people. And I used to come to work every day, and I'd drive down the road, and I'd think, well, I sold that house, and I made this much money, and I sold that house, and I made this much money. And that was my valuation system, was how much money I had made or how much money was in my bank. And that's a stupid way to value. I was in my 20s. Cut me some slack. But I can see the look in your face like, oh, my God. But, I got a little older, and I got a little wiser, I hope, and I had a kid, which made a big difference in my life, and it rechanges things. I don't measure my life that way anymore. Now I measure my life by, I drive when I'm driving. I remember those guys in there. God, they're still in that house because with work we did, and we did it for free because they couldn't afford us anyway. We did that one, we did that one. That's what I get excited about now. When I drive around, it's not just Los Angeles. We work all over Southern California. We're now expanding to all of California. And when I drive around, I think, I remember those guys. They were fantastic to work with. She was a huge Star Trek fan. I loved working with them. They were fun. Whatever their story was. And what's great for me is, from a business point of view, is people come back. You can actually, I'm living proof. You can run a pay-it-forward business model and still be successful in this world. People can still come to you when they're in trouble. You can help them for free. And in my case, hopefully they were happy with what we did, and they come back. Sometimes they don't come back for 10 years. Try 12. That's fine. It's your life. Do what you need. But we're here for you. And when you need us and when you want to buy or sell a house and there's money to be made, that's the commissions that we make doing that is what gives us the ability to do all the stuff that we do for free. That's what pays for all the pro bono work. And I love it. It's fun. It's that I was able to call this client. I was actually at Disneyland at the time, which is the crazy part. I was in line for for Indiana Jones. We were waiting in line, and my phone went off, and I saw that the bank is going to settle it. They bought, really? 17 grand? Making that phone call was more fun than what I was doing at Disneyland. And I was having a great time at Disneyland.
Right.
But calling them while standing in line was more fun for me that day than even being in Disneyland. And I don't think too many jobs give you that kind of satisfaction. And doing it for free just makes it so they understand they respect, hopefully, my motivations. I understand that there is no other agenda here except because their well-being is mine. Everybody wants to have that go-to person that just, I don't know about this. Like I've got a fantastic plumber. I don't know anything about plumbing. I'm horrible at it. But if I got a question, I call Chris. And I don't know why he takes my calls. I'm a giant pain in his butt. But he takes my calls and he answers my questions, and he's fantastic. I don't have to know about plumbing because I have him. I try to fulfill that same role when it comes to mortgages and housing for people. So
everybody wants to have a guy.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, I want a guy for this. I want a guy. Like, you want a guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Well, when it comes to real estate and mortgages and stuff, I'm the guy.
You're the guy.
I'm the guy.
What's the number?
661. My personal cell phone, 661-714-1400. I answer that number 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm not answering it now because obviously I'm on the air with you. I've got it going off in my pocket. So if I don't answer, please text. I will call you back. I promise you I will get back to you within 24 hours. I will usually get back to you in the same day. 99% of the time, I'll get back to you within a couple of hours. If at the longest, usually it's a few seconds.
One more time with the number?
661-714-1400. My name is Rich Sherman. I'm with Radius Agent. And please call me, even if it's just to answer questions. I'm always happy to help. 661-714-1400. Thank you.